Okay, we're going to start with interfaces in Java. So I'm going to create a new class in Java. You can use the shortcut called as Control A, which is going to open this place. You can select a project in Java. Project name is interface. Then should have been example, but there is a mistake. I'm going to rename it. Refactor, go to rename. Interface example. Fine. Now the project is ready. I'm going to create a new class. The class name is going to be, okay, we're going to have a package form dot example dot interface test one. Okay, interface is not a valid interface demo. Okay, fine. Now we have a class which is ready. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to write a main method in that class. Before writing anything within the main method, we're going to talk about the interface. Basically, the interface is very much similar to a class. It doesn't have a different, like 100% different syntax from a class. No, it doesn't have like 100% different syntax from a class. It follows the same rule that a class follows, but the class is having a body of its own. Whatever we write within a class, say for example, I'm having a method, display something into console. That method is going to write system.out.println. That is the business logic. That method is having access to the system properties. That method is having access to the hardware so that the system can write something into the hardware. But when we talk about interface, we're not going to write any code. We're just going to write certain specifications. Say for example, if there is a bank account, there are certain things which are possible with a bank account. Say for example, a bank account can allow you to withdraw some money. The bank account can allow you to deposit some money. The bank account can ask you, like it can allow you to query for last 10 or 20 transactions, right? So these are the things which are available, but we are not yet like familiar how it is working internally. So if we look at the abstraction says that you are worried about knowing your balance, you are worried about making a transaction, just do it. But how the implementation is happening in the background, that's not your concern. The bank is there to make it happen. So when you have a bank account and when you say, I want 100 rupees to be deducted from my bank account and that should be available in the ATM. So the ATM makes a request to the banking server and the banking server is going to access your object, bank account object, and it is going to ask you for 100 rupees. Give me 100 rupees, then I'm done. Okay, so now how interface comes into picture. So I'm going to give you the same example of bank accounts. Okay, now I'm going to create a new class. So whenever I used to create a class, I used to select this one. But just below that, there is this thing called as interface. We're always thinking about how this interface works. Let's work with that. So I'm going to create a new interface. I have selected the interface object instead of Java, and I'm going to give you the package com.example.interface demo, and I'm going to give you this name as bank account. So this bank account is an interface. Interface, if we talk about any interface, the interface is never having any business logic. The interface will never have any business logic, but they're going to have the rules. they will say that the class will have this much functionality. This functionality is going to happen this way. If you want to print your name, then you are going to call this method, and the functionality of this method is to print a name. If you pass your name, that is going to be printed. If you pass X, it is going to say hello X, welcome. But if you say your name, it's going to print hello your name and welcome. So the thing is that the interface, it consists just set of rules. It does never have any business logic. So what we are going to do right now, we are going to create an interface demo. We are going to create a bank account. And if this bank account is actually an interface, then we should be sure about like what the bank account basically can do. So let's create this bank account, and within this bank account interface, we're going to have certain properties, certain fields which is mandatory for any bank account available in the world. So we can have a saving bank account, we can have a credit bank account, we can have a salary bank account. So there are many examples available, but all of them should always follow the rule that this interface has created. Understood? So what we're going to have, a bank account needs to have a bank account name. We're going to create private account name. It's a string value, so we need to give the type of this variable. Private string account name. Now there is this error. As this interface is having certain properties, it says that interface can never stand itself alone. The interface is having no meaning if you extend or if you implement the behavior of it. So if you want to access this interface, you need to have access to it, right? So you need to have access to it. So you can never have a field, you can never have a variable within the interface which is basically private. You need to make it public. Understood? So we're going to initialize the account name with some value. Okay, so for example, the name is nothing. It's because when somebody is creating an implementation of an interface, he's going to give life to it. If he's not giving any information about the interface, he's just creating the object by implementing the interface, then it's going to be a problem. Account name will have no information attached to it, but a bank account will be created. So if you want a bank account to be created without any information about it, that's wrong. So you need to have some default value to a bank account. Then I can have public double balance equals to 0.0. The bank account can allow you to withdraw some money, right? So what we can have a method public void withdraw. But with this method we don't understand how much money we want to withdraw. So we're going to write double amount to withdraw. So this is a class, this is an interface. Within that interface I'm having a method which says that if you want to withdraw some amount, just let me know. And whenever you are withdrawing some amount, you're going to check if the amount that you want to withdraw, is that available in your account? So you're going to check if the balance of the person is less than amount to withdraw, then you need to say paste. If the balance is less than the amount you want to withdraw, then it should throw some error, right? Throw some exception. But as I have said you already, the interfaces, they just give you the information about the possibility of things that can happen, about the functionality that can happen. So the interface can never have anything, any logic implemented within itself. So we can never write a body for an interface. So this part of the interface is not needed. It is going to be implemented by the class who is going to basically extend or is going to basically implement the behavior of the interface. So the interface will have the methods with the method return types and the methods parameters, but it will never have any information regarding the implementation of the method. We can never write this information within the interface. That is wrong. So what this interface is going to do, that we'll understand. Let me write another method, public void add, or say for example deposit, and we are going to have a semicolon, double amount to deposit. So now I have created two different methods, but I have never written how it is going to happen. So when we talk about interfaces, we just can't stop over there. We need to say how this interface is going to behave. If I said that I have a bank account and I can withdraw and I can deposit from and to this bank account, but I don't know how am I going to deposit. So I'm going to create a new class which is basically going to help us how to do these two behaviors, how to do withdraw and how to do deposit. So this class is going to have the body, the validation and everything, every logic that we can have within itself. So say for example, I'm going to have a savings bank account. So this is a class. If you look at this bank account, it's an interface. It doesn't have any body of its own. It just have two private fields, two public fields, but with the default values. It doesn't have any meaning. But when somebody tries to talk to this interface, the interface is having no body, so it's going to take help from a class. So I should have the class ready before somebody is asking for something. So I'm having a class savings bank account. The savings bank account is going to have a method called as withdraw. It's going to have a method called as deposit. So every bank account is having these two parameters. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm not going to write them over here. I'm going to copy those information. I'm going to reuse those information which was created within the interface. So I'm going to implements. I'm going to write this word implements. Implementation means the super class or the person from which
It's 11
I'm
o'clock.
deriving the information, he is not having the information. He doesn't know how to do it. I'm going to tell it. So when the interface is not having the body of withdraw method, the interface is not knowing like how the withdraw happens. I'm going to implement that. I'm going to tell the market how basically the withdraw works. So basically to do that, I need to implement the super class or super interface. So the interface here is bank account. So when I implement the bank account says that, boss, I don't have the implementation for two methods, that is withdraw and deposit. If you want to make yourself static, if you want to make yourself very much rigid and very much perfect in the market, then you are going to implement me. Then you are going to give me, then you are going to tell me how the withdrawal should happen or how the deposit should happen. So whenever you try to implement an interface, this is the class, it is trying to implement another interface, then it is mandatory that you implement all the functionalities that the interface wants. So if you put your mouse on this class, it says that add unimplemented methods. So let me focus on this. It says that saving bank account must implement the inherited abstract method bank account.withdraw. It's just one example. There may be hundreds of methods. We have two methods, withdraw and deposit. So I'm going to click on add unimplemented method. So it's going to automatically write some sort of pseudo code for me so that I can write my logic over here. Okay, so this is the class.
Okay. Instead of implement keyword, so if you use extend, it will work.
If I use,
you have mentioned that public class saving bank account implements bank account, right? So instead of implement, can we use extends because it also inherits the properties of bank account?
Right. So what is extends actually? Can you let me know what is extends?
I mean, extends means it will. Catch all the properties, all the variables of bank account.
No. Extends is entirely different. Extension is if you have something in place and you want to modify, you want to tell something more about that. I used to do this thing like this. You are going to extend it. You are going to do it in a better way. That's what extends is. But when we talk about implements, it says that I'm going to follow certain rules that this bank interface, bank account interface has done. The bank account says that if you are a bank account, then you can withdraw. Then we can deposit. Right? But the bank account is dumb. It doesn't have the implementation. How to withdraw, how to deposit. You are going to tell him. You are going to create a savings bank account which is going to have certain behavior, certain properties, certain logic, certain business logic, which is going to say, okay, I'm going to tell how this implementation is going to work. But if you're talking about extension says that this bank account needs to have how this withdraw used to work. I'm going to make it even better. How this deposit works, I'm going to make it even better. But when the rule says that if you are a bank account holder, you can do two operations. One is withdraw, one is deposit. But I don't know how you're going to withdraw, how you're going to deposit it. It's the task of the saving bank account, which is saying that if you want to withdraw, you can withdraw only 3 times in a month. Or if you want to deposit, you can deposit only 5 times in a month and with the ATMs only. If you want to come. So these are the logics which comes into picture. So the bank account never knows how the deposit is going to come, but the bank account knows that deposit is something which is going to happen. Bank account knows that somebody is going to withdraw some money from me. The saving bank account is going to implement. The saving bank account is going to say, how am I going to do that? Right? So with the interface, there is no logic which is already written. Interface is going to, if you have an interface, you're going to implement that interface, you're going to write the logic and you're going to say, this is how the thing is done. But with extends, which I have not yet covered, I am yet to cover, with extend you are going to modify, you're going to add some more features to it. Okay? Interface and class implementation, it gives the first level of explanation. If you understood interface, then you should go for extends. Extends says, if I have the logic already in place, it can be better. Somebody can make it better. I should go with extends. We are yet to come over there. Okay, apart from that, from the syntax, do you have any doubt? If you have an interface, you can implement it. All the methods are mandatory to be overridden. Okay, and interface, they don't have any body of the methods. If you look at the bank account, you can see there is a method called withdraw, but over here we don't have any bank account body like this. We don't have anything. If we write that, it's going to give us some error. So all these are the syntax related information. Since
Sir,
like, okay, go on.
so if we want to add some extra method in saving bank account, then is it
Yes, we
possible?
can write. See, when we extend or when we implement certain behavior, it's on our own will. Whatever we want to do, we can do. But it's mandatory that we must do the super class information. Whatever the super class or super interface is, the bank account is sitting on the top, right? Then we have a saving account. When we want to do something with the saving account, it's mandatory that the saving account should give you the option to do whatever the bank account can do. That's what in the implementation is. When you say that the saving account can do even more, the saving account can open an insurance with the saving account, right? Whenever you open a saving account, it gives you the insurance option, right? But that may not be available with a different type of account. It may not be available with a salary account. It may not be available with a current account. So it's all your duty to tell how you are going to create a bank account. If you are a saving account, you can tell, okay, boss, I'm going to do something more than that. But it's mandatory that you do these two things. Understood? It's always mandatory to give the implementation of the super interface. Then you can give whatever you want to have. If you want to write a new method in savings bank account, you can write them over here. It's not an issue. Say for example, public void print last transaction. You can write whatever you want to write over here, right? It's not necessary like to write a new method, but it's helpful. If you want to have a new method, you can write that over here. So I'll do one more thing. I'll try to give you one more example of the vehicles and the bank account, how they're implemented, and how the interface basically works. In the next class, Java is very much important. Before we move into the next part, if I go into the syllabus, I'll tell you that we're in the module 2, right? We have already covered module 3, but we are in module 2 right now. It says that we need to understand how the classes, objects, variables they work. What are the different ways to access the conditions, loops, and how to put our logic. We have already learned that. Now we must understand how Java works. Java works mostly on interface and inheritance. There are certain utilities available in Java which we call collections and all. These are the things which can be covered very quickly. But we must understand how to think when we are designing a new object-oriented concept, right? When we want to create a bank account, it can be of some 100 types of bank accounts. But there are certain fields which are very much common. We can put them together into a separate interface and we can call that we can call that a parent. From that interface, all the classes can have their own class implementations. So we're going to talk more about interface with some better examples in the next class. But from today's class, if you have any doubt, just let me know.